I want to start this time of reflection with a reading from the Gospel of Matthew. A reading that we are all familiar with, a reading that helps us very much throughout our lives, but I would say especially when we are now celebrating the Year of Mercy. When the Son of Man comes in his glory, escorted by all the angels, then he will take his seat on his throne of glory. All the nations will be assembled before him, and he will separate men one from another, as the shepherd separates sheep from goats. He will place the sheep on his right hand and the goats on his left. Then the king will say to those on his right hand, "Come, you whom my Father has blessed. Take for your heritage the kingdom prepared for you since the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you made me welcome. Naked, and you clothed me. Sick, and you visited me. In prison, and you came to see me." Then the virtuous will say to him in reply, "Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you drink? When did we see you stranger and make you welcome, naked and clothe you, sick or in prison and go to see you?" And the king will answer, "I tell you solemnly, insofar as you did this to one of the least of these brothers of mine, you did it to me." The Year of Mercy is a very good opportunity for us to reflect on the mercy we receive from God. Mercy that unfortunately we may take for granted at times. We may not dwell much on all the graces or the blessings, all the good things that God does for us every day of our life. Sometimes these are graces and blessings that are quite extraordinary. But more often than not, it is small things that, as I said, we may take for granted, we may not dwell much on, we might even forget to thank God for them. This Year of Mercy intends to help us to discover that we are surrounded by mercy, that God is always bestowing this very special form of love on us. But that's not the end of the story. As much as we like enjoying the mercy of God, it is also for us to pass on the mercy onto others. How we want to engage with people who are in need, people who are in need of us. And through us, they will discover the mercy of God, the presence of God, how He is accompanying them, possibly through us. Mary is a very special vehicle of mercy because she brings us to Jesus, because she, as Mother of Mercy, intercedes for us, because she herself received great mercies throughout her life from the moment of her conception. And so if we want to imitate Mary, we have to do so in how she passed on mercy onto others. Throughout this Year of Mercy, the works of mercy are important for us to remember, to celebrate, to incorporate them into our life into our faith, into the commitment that we feel we ought to have with our brothers and sisters. Those who are near to us, dear to us, those who are far but still are very much part of who we are as a community of mercy. Let's go through the works of mercy, both spiritual and corporal. The spiritual works of mercy are to instruct the ignorant, to counsel the doubtful, to admonish sinners, to bear wrongs patiently, to forgive offenses willingly, to comfort the afflicted, and to pray for the living and the dead. The corporal works of mercy are to feed the hungry, to give drink to the thirsty, to clothe the naked, to harbor the harborless, to visit the sick, to ransom the captive, to bury the dead. Many of these we do quite naturally, even without thinking, because it is part and parcel of our Christian ethos, of how we perceive ourselves as committed to good causes and to the needs of others. Some of them, and I'm sure many of us would agree on that, are easier to do than others. And it is also a challenge at times to apply some of these to the relationships we have with people who are close to us. Let's take one of the spiritual works of mercy, to admonish sinners, to help people distinguish between right and wrong, and sometimes to plainly say, this is wrong. As a Christian or as a human being, you shouldn't be doing this. You shouldn't follow this line of action. You should think about your behavior. People may say, oh, well, I can say that to somebody who is not that close to me. Well, how can I say to my father, to my mother, to my spouse, to my son, to my daughter, to my grandchildren, this is wrong? The fear there might be that they say, hold on a minute, you are not that holy and you are telling me what is wrong. Come on, what are you going on about? The element there that we cannot miss, that we shouldn't miss, is charity. How can we work a work of mercy if there's no charity there, if there's no love? It's what we say, what we do, that should be very much infused with charity, with love, with concern for the well-being of the person that we are helping, that we want to have a closer relationship with God, that we are concerned for their salvation. To instruct the ignorant is very much similar thing. To help those who lack certain knowledge, especially knowledge of the faith. To counsel the doubtful. People may go through crises of faith. I suppose most of us may have been there at some point. And it's good to know that there's somebody we can turn to and say, look, I've got these doubts. I am in this situation with my faith that doesn't seem to be working. And we don't need to have a degree in theology to do that. It is our faith. It is a testimony of our life. It is our own experience, what we should share with others. And for us, they may be of no value whatsoever. But for some people, it will be essential to overcome, let's say, the crisis of faith they may be enduring. To bear wrongs patiently. That's something that the world doesn't teach. We may at times have that temptation to exert vengeance, to say someone has done something to me, I'm going to do exactly the same to them, if not twice as bad. Where is the merit there? Where is patience? Where is that element of our faith that very much compels us to leave things in the hands of God? Think of Mary, for instance, when she saw Jesus on the way to the cross, when she witnessed him being very much abused, when she saw him dying on the cross, when she actually buried him. That is an example of patience and to bear wrongs with this virtue very much in mind. Then to forgive offenses willingly. To be able to open up to God's grace so that we can understand, forgive, love, which may not be something that happens automatically, but it can happen if we are willing for it to happen. To comfort the afflicted. We know people who are sad, people who may find no meaning in life, people who are somehow lost, people who grieve. It is our duty to pray for them. A spiritual work of mercy, or part of it, to pray for the living. But also our words of kindness, our gestures of concern for them, our welcoming, all those good things that will say to them, you are not alone, I am here with you and for you. And then to pray for the living, people who are in need, and for the dead. Mary, as Queen of Mercy, intercedes for us, the living, but also for the dead, for those souls who are in purgatory, those who are in need of cleansing, of purification. Mary is their mother as well, and we should commend the faithful departed into her care. Then with the corporal works of mercy, we have the looking after the material needs, the physical needs of people. And true, we could do this in a very one-to-one basis, giving food to those who are hungry or drink, people we see, let's say, on the streets, or people we know who are going through hard times. But we can also do it through organizations, let's say, like CAFOD. When we contribute to the funding, when we sacrifice ourselves of something to help them in their good work, we are feeding the hungry, giving drink to the thirsty, clothing the naked, helping those who are in need. And we may never have the words of thanks, but we know we are doing something to alleviate their suffering. We also visit the sick. We are very much aware of members in our different communities who are not well. They may be housebound, they may be in hospital or in a hospice. They may be unable to be part actively of the communities where we are. And then we reach out. We do what we can to make them aware that they are not forgotten. First, by God, but also by us, their brothers and sisters. With the ransoming of the captive, things may have changed. But still, we remember people who are very much victims of human trafficking in this part of the world. We don't need to go far for that. We remember people who are having addictions. And then it's people we can help with our prayers, with our contributions, with our generosity. Mary would have been very much preoccupied for those who were marginalized during her life. She wanted them to be included, and Jesus may have learned that from her. So our concern today, as part of the church, should be as well for those who are on the margins of society. Those people may not care much about, those who might even be despised, not to say judged by certain standards. And then we bury the dead. That doesn't mean that we are going to go to the cemetery with a shovel just to start burying people who turn up. No, we accompany those who are mourning, those who are grieving. And it's a good thing to do as well to, let's say, we know of somebody in the parish who has died. We go to the funeral. We remember them in our prayers. We can easily see Our Lady doing all those things and not trumpeting anything ahead of her. Mary, as Mother of Mercy, is a beacon to help us in how we become instruments of mercy, in how we are ready to reach out. It's not good enough to say, when people come to me, I will be of assistance. I will do what I can. If nobody knocks on my door, fine, I'm not going to do much about it. We ought to open the doors. And it's not just the doors of the church, the doors of our homes, it is the doors of our hearts. So that the vulnerability of others may be important to us, so that we can make a difference, so that we can do something to let them know that God exists, that God is good, that God is their Father, and that He is manifesting His love for them through us. These works of mercy are a way in which we can transform our lives so that our level of commitment increases, so that we are not indifferent, which is a great sin when we choose not to see the needs of others, when we choose our own comfort over that challenge that may be to help others. And I say it again, it is not those who are far from us or those who are not so dear to us. It might be quite easy to help them. It is those in our communities. It is those we see day in, day out, week in, week out, and because we are so familiar with them, we may get shy, or we may stop altogether seeing them as people in need, as people who need us, as people who have been sent to us by God so that we can be merciful, so that we can reach those heights of holiness. Jesus said to us that we should be as holy, as perfect as the Father is, and these people may be sent to us for us to grow and for us to be once again instruments of the kingdom of God. A kingdom who is very much built on the mercy we show, on the mercy we are willing to be instruments of God to those who are in need, and more especially to those who are in need of us. So we ask Mary, Mother of Mercies, to help us and to continue to be that example for us to follow.